Hello everyone, and now welcome to a game. This game is going to be between Fly versus Dise here on Northern Isle. A little bit of tearing on my screen. Alright, Fly spawning as the blue orc on the bottom left-hand side of the map, going up against spawning as, the yellow night elf. I do really appreciate the standardization of colors in tournaments, making it much easier to keep track of what's happening on the mini-map as well. So much to say, so much to do, and I want to thank you guys for stopping by, enjoying my content. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I don't know, helps out getting more views, all of that social media jazz during this transitionary period in my life. All right, Dise going to be opening things up. Altar of Elders first, Moonwell, followed by most likely an Ancient of War. No surprises there. Fly opening things up. There is a Altar of Storms, Barracks, Burrow, and Voodoo Lounge. So is it going to be Farseer or Blade Master? Blade Master, the choice there. So Blade Master Grunts coming in from Fly first. I'm going to perhaps place down some Orc Burrows here as well. Defensive and offensive positioning. As we see the Ancient of War down to the south side here, going to go ahead, train up some archers, and go after this Ogre Magi creep camp. It is going to be a Keeper of the Grove going up against a Blade Master, and Blade Master with Mirror Image. Now, able to shake off that Entangle pretty well. Meanwhile, let's just get to that 2-minute mark. I'm hurry things up to that 2-minute mark of the game where everything really does begin. Blade Master, heading off to the north here. I guess blue's not that easy to spot on the map. Blade Master already heading out. I would have thought that the Blade Master would have tried to do a little bit of creeping with that lone grunt alongside here. Meanwhile, the Keeper of the Grove going after the Tuskar Trapper creep camp. This is, I believe, a 5-4-4 creep camp, so this will give level 2 to that Keeper of the Grove already. Meanwhile, the Blade Master now heading off to the north, looking to perhaps find a way and do a little bit of disruption. Flies Blade Master, the Windwalk actually breaks before the Blade Master can use that Windwalk strike, as we're looking at a Moonwell about to get it taken down. The Blade Master going after buildings as they're under construction. Anytime you're able to stall a Moonwell, you're able to force your opponent to not train any additional units. That Moonwell taking quite a bit of damage, but it looks like the Blade Master will be getting away. 21 over 21 supply. Tech to tier 2 has already begun as the Blade Master, double backed around and, regenerating some hit points, ready to get in some engaging again. All right, we're going to be looking at that Archer. That Archer purposely shadow meld. A spider sense must have been tingling, so Fly and Dise playing some very, very high-level mind games here, all at the same time as well, as we're looking at the Blade Master, perhaps going to try and finish off some of these Huntsmen. All right, there goes one, and now a little bit of damage. All right, so Archer, Dise, knowing that Fly was nearby, and that just goes to show you the level of play on both sides here. Both sides are trying to, take the other players' creep camps, and that's exactly what's happening. Grunt gets entangled as well, and now the creeps are beating up on this unit too. All right, what is this Treant gonna do? Grunt is gonna get taken down. One more shot should do it. Trying to get a final shot there. Keeper of the Grove does get the last hit as this Grunt, gets ensnared again. All right, Keeper of the Grove trying to make its way back off to the north. And the heroes are just trying to disrupt the other side's armies. Interesting plays here as the Keeper of the Grove going to go ahead and Staff of Teleportation back home. All right. Both sides just want to do some creeping. Both sides want their play. The Huntresses do not have the Sentinel Scout yet, or at least I do not believe so. And, unable to keep track of where that Blade Master is. Dise does have a Sentry Ward right here, so he will know when that Blade Master comes nearby. And now, gonna get some damage onto that unit again. But there goes the Blade Master. Blade Master perhaps gonna try and Windwalk away. Unable to get the final hit. Blade Master still taking a lot of that damage here. as Dise is able to clear up this creep camp pretty easily. Blade Master still revealed, and this one sentry ward is just causing so many problems. Fly not understanding how he can be spotted. This is just absolutely frustrating, as the Blade Master forced to retreat back again. That sentry ward by Dise, so well positioned and played. Fly not knowing that he was revealed, constantly running into problems, as we are now going into tier 2 play. Spirit Lodge, Bestiary, Shadow Hunter all getting ready to be trained and back out onto the battlefield. There is a sentry ward right there. And are we going to see some damage onto that Blade Master? Blade Master, well, realizes, wait, my healing salve isn't working. Level 3 now on that Keeper of the Grove, as the Blade Master trying to retreat back. Dise is getting the perfect opening right now against Fly, and Fly can't really do anything as we see an Entangle go down. All right, Keeper of the Grove gets in front. Blade Master could be forced to get resurrected. Down to 61, down to 43, down to 22. One more shot should do it. Down to 4. Oh, Huntress gets the final glaive in for the kill. Yes, level 1 heroes resurrect extremely quickly, but that is resources and time lost, as the Keeper of the Grove picks up a pendant of energy and now going to finish up the remainder of this creep camp here. Yeah, Blade Master already halfway getting resurrected back out. Shadow Hunter, oh, wow, dangerously low on hit points. Ends up surviving double, triple Serpent Wards here, as the Shadow Hunter slowly regenerating some hit points. Oh, Keeper of the Grove. Keeper of the Grove, are we going to see an Entangle? This could be huge. This could be huge. Can we see an Entangle right there? There's a disruption there. Are we going to see an Entangle? That is the question now. No Entangle. Blade Master, Keeper of the Grove going to exchange some blows. Nope. All right, Keeper of the Grove backing up here. All right, Tree of Life. I'm halfway done off to the north. We are looking at a Panda as that second hero. He's going to try and get to level 2 quickly, as the Keeper of the Grove plays a harassment game. This is so deadly. The Keeper of the Grove having survivability items, having level 2 Entangle, and is just trying to be annoying against Fly and his army. Meanwhile, the Keeper of the Grove, if it can manage to keep that Blade Master at level 1, prevent him from creeping easily, that is going to be a major setback, as the Huntresses are no longer going to be countered by those Serpent Wards now that they have that heavy armor from that upgrade. Shadow Hunter going straight after that Ogre Magi creep camp here. That's going to get taken down. Level 3 on the Shadow Hunter. Perhaps still going to be opting to go for level 2 Serpent Wards, as the Keeper of the Grove now makes its way around. All right, Keeper of the Grove quickly stop with teleportation, trying to stop the Blade Master. The Blade Master now doing a little bit of harassment. And Dise not getting all of the forces of nature that he could have from this one, from that, well, summon treants, not clearing out enough trees, as we're going to see another entangling of the gold mine start here in just a moment. All right. Well, wait, we need to see another Entangle Gold Mine there. More Wisp getting trained up. Drunken Haze, Breath of Fire. Archer's trying to battle it up. Dryad's perhaps going to try and poke. Serpent Ward's going to get poked down here. Dryads need to, well, back away from those Serpent Wards. Those Serpent Wards are very effective against them. Meanwhile, there's a Breath of Fire healing wave just in time. Are we going to see some, well, retreating damage? Glaive, bounce damage. We're going to see another Grunt. Wow, Grunt survives at 10 hit points. Jumps back into the fray. It looks like it could get taken down. There goes one. Serpent Ward still poking pretty effectively. Keeper of the Grove does use that potion of healing. Raider comes around the far side here, as we're going to be looking at some low hit point grunts here. There's another Breath of Fire. Suddenly, everything seems to be low on hit points. 35 supply compared to 41. There goes another Ensnare. Huntress gets taken down. Both sides suffering big, heavy casualties. Dual level 3 heroes going up against a 2-3 combination, as the Serpent Ward's going to act as a bit of a wall here. Are they going to engage against those Dryads? That is the targets that they should be going after. If you're just looking to poke and deal damage, there goes an Ensnare onto a Dryad here. Shadow Hunter does not, needs a little bit more mana. Brewmaster does have an Ankh of Reincarnation, needs a little bit more there. There goes a poke from a Serpent Ward to finish things off, and you can see, well, that that piercing damage, how effective it is, as the Dryads are actually just kind of walking into it now, suffering quite a bit of damage. Keeper of the Grove just shy of level 4. Down to the south, Fly is setting up his expansion. Up at the north, Dice's expansion is nearly fully saturated. We are at Tree of Ages going up against the Stronghold. No tier 3 as of yet, as the Blade Master gets another ensnare on a Dryad again. Panda comes across. There's a big Breath of Fire. That's going to be some big damage indeed. Blade Master could be in trouble. Does have an Invul Potion. Keeper of the Grove could be in trouble as well. Down to 112. Down to 87. Trying to back away. Looks like he'll be able to do exactly that. Invul Potion on the Blade Master long enough, as Grunts are getting taken down as well. There goes another Grunt. Keeper of the Grove trying to play a little bit of distance game, as the Brewmaster could be in trouble. There is the level up onto the Blade, or onto the Blade Master. Meanwhile, the Panda is going to be coming back out here, ready to go in just a moment. There's a Breath of Fire trying to blow over a couple of units, and both sides suffering some big damage again. There goes a Raider. Dryad could get taken down. Dryad could go after the Shaman, gets exactly that, but loses. Well, they exchange blows again. Both sides are just trying to beat each other silly, like an old timely boxing match, and seeing who can suffer the most damage. All right, two pugilists going at it. Right, like technical dodging not really happening here. In comes the Keeper of the Grove. Keeper of the Grove is going to try to get some entangles off. Yes, goes in entangle after the Raider. There's some Treants going to join in on some battle. Are we going to see some Breath of Fire? No. Panda does not have enough mana. Treants are going to be able to finish off that Raider here, as Dryads are now showing up, and the Treants are playing a little bit of, well, traffic against the Blade Master and that Shadow Hunter. 4-3 going up against 4-3. Keeper of the Grove, well, it needs to dodge a little bit. Meanwhile, Panda should have been sent back home, using up a Clarity Potion. Needs to get some healing in, but we're training up Dryads instead of Druids of the Claw, so there are no rejuvenations yet. All right. Serpent Ward about to come to an end here. Meanwhile, Fly's expansion on the southern side finally going to start some more mining, as Treants try to do a little bit of disruption. All right, quick ensnares, catching a Dryad. Dryad's continuing to poke down. Fly does set down a Sentry Ward. Blade Master trying to retreat back. Panda has plenty of mana, not as much hit points, ready to dive in though and cause problems. We're looking at a little bit of poking. Mass Dryads here, continuing to poke again and again. Are we going to see a Drunken Haze, Breath of Fire? There's a little bit of problems. Are we going to see an Entangle? There's some slow poison. Are we going to see a Breath of Fire here? That Raider is suffering quite a bit of damage. And now Healing Wave bouncing around. All right, trying to finish off some of those units. All right, that one Raider really just completely surrounded it out of a tough spot. There's a Drunken Haze, Breath of Fire. Damage onto the Blade Master. Blade Master down to 155. But able to walk away and hide again. Panda, are we going to see another Breath of Fire go after all of these units again? There's a Breath of Fire, goes in after the Shadow Hunter. Shadow Hunter down to 200 hit points, down to 170. Staff of Preservation for the save. Keeper of the Grove in trouble, down to 148, using an Invul Potion to stay alive again, as both sides are still fighting every which way. Blade Master down to 120 hit points. He needs his Voodoo Lounge up, as Dryads are getting shut down. All right, Dryads with unarmored Dryads suffering quite a bit of damage from these Raiders. Serpent Wards getting added into the mix as well. Keeper of the Grove trying to, well, outlast his opponent here, as, well, Dryads and Raiders are just exchanging blow after blow. And there goes level 5 now on that Keeper of the Grove. Panda ready to jump back into the battle, give a potion of healing to the Keeper of the Grove, and now going after more targets. Fly's expansion may end up falling, as the Brewmaster now sits at level 4. All right, more damage coming back across, more peons getting taken down. Once this Voodoo Lounge is completed, the Blade Master will be able to spend some of that gold to get some more potions of healing going, as Fly's expansion about to fall. Dise doing a great job shutting down this expansion. It is at least not mining for now, and Fly is going to be forced to try to get into an engagement here. Purges onto the Sentry or onto the Treants and stop much of the normal damage, as the Raiders able to push their way through. Remember, the peons here, well, we're able to keep this building alive and well. 59 supply compared to 45. And Dise being forced to let up off the gas to rebuild, retreat, and push across once more. And this time with upgrades, as we are now taking the Tree of Eternity. Level 5, level 4. There are some winged creep camps. The winged creep camps are still available. There are still some red creep camps there. Fly's sentry wards are keeping track of where Dise is. And with that, Fly says, you know what? Perhaps I can start doing these hit and run tactics that ORC is just so well known for. All right, putting in pressure, going after some of these buildings now, going after this tree. And, well, there doesn't have pillage. Base after base. This one great hall about to get taken down. But at what cost? We're looking at a big exchanging of blows. All right, Town Hall, or not Town Hall, Great Hall was canceled there. Scroll of Town Portal, both sides fighting. Tree of Eternity, both sides engaging. Drunken Haze, causing many of the raiders to miss their targets. And that is a lot of damage mitigation. You can see all of the missing happening across here. 46 supply compared to 49, as there is still home field advantage. There's a big breath of fire. A bunch of raiders are going to fall here. ORC losing a lot. Flies in a lot of trouble, down to 34 supply compared to 42, as the Blade Master may not be able to survive this. There's a healing wave. There's an entangle. Mirror image to break free. Difficult to figure out which one is the real one, as the units back up again. Panda turning back around. There's a breath of fire. Blade Master able to shake off a little bit of that damage. Brewmaster still okay for now, as another raider about to get taken down. There it goes. Shadowhunter of Fly for some reason was standing still and now actually boxed in. Fly really gonna be in trouble right now, as we're looking at the Shadowhunter down at level 5, as the Brewmaster gets up to level 5 too. Keeper of the Grove gets to level 6, and now with Tranquility on the table, Clarity Potions translating into a lot of healing, but Dice's army is small. 33 supply compared to 29. It doesn't take a genius to know healing your entire army with your ultimate ability is more effective when you actually have an army. Only two Dryads here. Two Dryads. Where are the rest of the units? There's another Dryad getting trained up. And, well, more Wisp getting trained up. So, yeah, 22 supply army, what was it? Adding in a Goblin Shredder, as that Goblin Shredder gets sent back home. Raiders ready to perhaps get an ensnare here. Treants, well, dealing a lot of damage against these raiders. It's really been the Treants and their normal damage against these raiders and boxing them that's really been the problem. 43 supply compared to 31. Is the Keeper of the Grove going to be able to keep everything going, as more Serpent Wards are getting summoned up? 46 to 50 poking damage and ensnaring a couple of those Dryads as they try to get away. Shadowhunter now gets up to level 6. Level 3 healing wave over Big Bad Voodoo. Raiders are putting in pressure, and it looks like Fly is going to be able to, well, force these buildings down. All right, we do see pillage now by these raiders to go after these buildings. And we are now looking at, well, Ancient of Wonders, multiple Ancient of Wonders being placed down here. Not quite sure what's that about, as we see Tranquility in the back line to try and get in some heals. All right, Panda, are we going to get some Drunken Haze, Breath of Fire? Yes, but that quad Serpent Wards dealing so much damage, as we're looking at the Moonwells getting finished off here. Fly is just continuing to push with this pressure, as Dryads getting ensnared. The Serpent Wards acting as so much cover to anything that gets within range. It's like mobile towers, essentially, at this point, as more and more of these buildings are getting cleaned up. 47 supply over 40 for Dise. He is upside down on supply. Even with Tranquility, well, it doesn't matter, as the army just isn't large enough to really keep things alive here. The Dryads, that piercing damage, so incredibly big and just shutting things down. And that was the issue. The Huntresses going up against the Raiders perhaps would have been better, as the Serpent Wards are really the problem here. The Dryads wasn't a good call by Dise. Dryads constantly poking, but yeah, does so much bonus damage against those Dryads. as this base is about to fall. Now remember, Fly does not have this expansion down to the south, so Dise is still mining more gold. Is he going to be able to rebound after this? Fly's army sitting at 40 supply compared to a 19 supply army, and Dise is just, well, gonna try to rebuild up and retrain, going dual Ancients of War. I don't believe there's a Hunter's Hall, so without that, unable to train up another Ancient of Lore, even though, he has another one here, so there's two. Alright, clearing things out again. More Dryads here. Are we going to see a unit tech switch? And is that going to be the change there? Meanwhile, Shadowhunter wearing triple circlets of nobility. Wow, that is a lot of circlets of nobility. That is a lot of additional intelligence. 9 additional intelligence. Drops them all down. Uses the circlet of nobility. Going to use the clarity and then pick it all back up. And the Shadowhunter is going to have north of 500 mana in this next fight. All right, mobile towers with those serpent wards. That is what is being offered and brought to the table here as the Raiders making their way off to the north here. All right, Shadowhunter down up to 530 mana, may be able to get up to 570, his absolute max, and then start placing down those serpent wards. There's one serpent ward already. And, well, we're just going to be waiting for that time life. Raider is going to take down that Ancient of Lord. There's a Drunken Haze Breath of Fire. There's a second Serpent Ward. It does take time for all of these Serpent Wards to get summoned up. We just need to constantly see them. Dryads getting healed back up as the Keeper of the Grove does have that Tranquility in back. There's a quick Ensnare, but we are already up to 3 Serpent Wards, and that is just going to continue to grow. All right. The longer this game goes, the more likelihood that we're going to see at least quintuple Serpent Wards out here on the battlefield. There you have it. So with quintuple Serpent Wards, one volley is enough to take down a Dryad easily, even if they are fully armored. All right, there goes that Brewmaster. Brewmaster falls at level 5, and that is the game. Fly, even though he lost his expansion, was able to beat out Dise with mass Serpent Wards and Ensnare, as those Dryads just simply were forced to sit there and take that damage. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below.